West Ham 1, Manchester United 0. Welcome to the full-time view. We're going to be interacting with you guys. Get your comments up on the screen. Reacting to yet another away defeat. 2 back-to-back away defeats. 2 consecutive away defeats, Kenny. And we were just chatting before we went live there. Essentially saying that we're not that surprised in all actuality. No. And now we've been dragged into a real top 4 race, haven't we?
Exactly. I've never been out of the top 4 race. But as long as Liverpool are there on your shirt tails, right, winning 6 games on the trot, you were in a race. You were in a race, no matter what we'd have done today, because they will not give up. They will not give up. And I have to start today with the manager. And we set that team up. I just couldn't believe it. I've been at Old Trafford the last 2 games when Sancho started. And the last 3 games he started, he scored on one of them. Against Aston Villa, we had Sancho, Eriksen, and Dalot all on the left-hand side. They were playing little triangles, creating opportunities. They looked really, really good. Today, I saw Bruno on the left. I'm thinking, what's that about? And he's done that to accommodate Weghorst. So then what he's done, and if you take notice, Eriksen and Bruno were running after the same ball. They were crossing over, and I'm thinking, because they're not used to it. They don't understand how they have to play in that position. And that's not their fault. That's your manager's fault. Why we had to have Wout Weghorst on that pitch at the beginning of the game, I don't know. Everybody that follows football in the Premier League, and particularly if you've ever followed David Moyes sets up 4-4-2, right? The first half of nearly every game that West Ham play, they're happy to absorb the pressure. Happy. You look at the stats on the possession in the first half of every game. Because what Moyes wants to do and where he sets his team up is not to lose. Not to lose, right? So he starts off, first 10 minutes, they have a go at us because we're just not set up right. We're just not set up right. All of a sudden, they drop then into the normal West Ham 4-4-2, right? And we're trying to break them down. And we never looked like breaking them down. Casemiro didn't look like the play tonight. Right, so the first half, we have 11 attempts on goal. The only one that was on target was Eriksen's, right?
Yeah.
The rest of them, and I'll include Rashford, Bruno, Antony, were all speculative chances from outside the box. What does that tell you? That tells you that player's looking up and there's nobody running anything, so I'm having a go myself. I'll have to do, right? So we were very, very, very poor. The De Gea mistake, horrendous. That was horrendous. But you pert that because that's a separate issue.
We'll get back to that in a second. Yeah, we'll get back to the De Gea mistake in a second. It deserves a bigger debate, I think. So,
but it is. We know it's an issue. It is a bit exactly because ultimately, we've had this discussion. We watched that game before. We watched Arsenal. We watched Newcastle. Both teams were up for it. Up for it because they wanted either to win the league or get in that top 4. So they both went out to attack. Both Pope and Ramsdale were making saves all day. There were shots flying in. It was unbelievable, right? Where was the goalkeeper making saves today at West Ham?
Fabianski, I can't recall him making even the save he made from Rashford. It's a simple tip over the bar. If it goes in. Yeah, you should save that. I mean, You're right. And to be honest, it felt so similar.
What Sancho done wrong?
It felt so similar.
Wrong?
It felt well. This is the thing. This game felt to me very similar to the one at Brighton. If anything, we showed less than we did against Brighton. But you would have said first half, a couple of half chances. Maybe you take them. A good team maybe takes one of those and you get yourself a foothold in the game. But apart from that, after that, second half, we might as well not come out. And to be honest, once we conceded the goal, and this has been part of the course of these away games, it's like there's an acceptance or a knowledge within the whole team and fans that you watch. As soon as we concede, you go, well, that's it, we've lost. Because we're not scoring.
As soon as we concede the goal, as soon as we concede the first goal, we're happy to take a draw.
Yes.
We're happy to take a draw. There was times tonight and you were thinking, I'll take one each. It's a point. At least it's a point. But Manchester United, and no disrespect to Ten Hag, do you know what I mean? And I've utmost faith in the guy, but he got it wrong. He got it completely wrong. You didn't need Weghorst on the field. The only thing he could have had Weghorst on the field for was for set plays. That's the only thing. Now, because the way that they set up, he could have put Maguire in. You could have put Maguire in because they're not a team that run at you. They're not a team that run at you, right? They'll do you on the break in the second half. And the second half, they come out like West Ham come out. We give them the opportunity. They must have gone in at half-time and said, come on, we can take these, man. We can take these. We can get 3 or 4 here. And they were very, very nearly. They get 3 or 4. And Casemiro, again, no, I'm sorry, but it just seems to have lost his spirit. The De Gea howler. Watch where it comes from. He just walked past Casemiro. He just walked past him. Now, that said, we'll discuss the De Gea thing or whatever. But no, I don't know what it is, but I just can't get my head around how we set up today against West Ham. I can't because
Yeah, I was waiting for it. It was good. You're back, Kenny. You're back.
I'm back. Yeah. No, I'd like to know what Sancho's doing wrong. I would, because I think the lad's been playing well. As I've watched him go off, what is it in his makeup that he doesn't like? Sancho comes on today, and he starts trying to link play up. That's what it gives you. And I know Rashford is our leading goal scorer, and that's it. But whatever. That was the only time we looked like scoring. But no, I think we've got problems. And I think, there's a lot being said about, we've got 3 games at home. Let's look at Fulham. We played Fulham. Was it the quarter-final of the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup? 10 minutes to go.
FA Cup.
Old Trafford. We were 1-0.
It took 3 red cards for us to get back in that game against Fulham at Old Trafford. Certainly.
Exactly. So that's no pushover, is it?
No, it's not. I think, and this is the thing, it's trying to find this line, I think, when it comes to this result, because rightfully so, I think there is a lot of frustration, back-to-back defeats, more away defeats. The team is soft. There is a soft underbelly. There is a weak mentality. We don't score goals. And if we make one mistake defensively, game, set, and match, that's over. But I'm doing my very best here to try and spin a positive out of this, Kenny, is that if we do win all our home games, we still do qualify for the top 4. However, it's the fact that we're in this position where we're saying we have to win all of our home games to get in the top 4. That's madness, because we're Manchester United and we can't win a game away from home against anyone. That is insane. That is an insane reality to be living in.
Terrible. The statistics don't lie, right? We had 6 attempts in the first 18 minutes, 1 every 3 minutes, none of them on target. 6 attempts. With the 8th highest scorers in the division. 8th. And I think we're the 16th worst at creating chances. Says everything. Everything. And that's how you set your team up. But today, I thought Wan-Bissaka and Anthony on the right-hand side, that they were our only creative outlook. Anthony working with Wan-Bissaka, little interplays, running past, passes coming in or whatever. They looked okay. Wan-Bissaka, I thought, was excellent. The lad was, he put his body on the line for us, sure, had a decent game. But the rest of them, no. But Bruno on the left-hand side, what was that about? Is your number 10? Is your number 10 do not bring Vegas on?
Yeah, that was the strange thing as well. There was feeling that maybe that Weghorst, if he was going to be playing, that he'd be playing as a 9. But once again, he was playing in that 10 again for periods in the first half as well. And it was and my feeling is that the only reason that works, he did it obviously against Barcelona at the new camp, and it worked that time. But it kind of whatever. It just felt like it worked at the time against, say, Barcelona, because it was so out of left field that they weren't expecting it. That's the only reason that it worked. But now, I don't think you can play him there on a consistent basis. Because like you said, the role of a 10 is either you're creating or you're a 10 that's a shadow striker and scoring goals. But he's not doing either, really, in that instance.
Exactly. And
you're missing out on Bruno.
But he's doing neither. Yeah, we've been praying for Martial to get fit again. And the majority of us wouldn't have Martial at the club, but it's the best that we've got. He's the best that we've got, so we have to use him. He came on today, and to be fair to the lad, he looked half decent when he came on. He probably created our best chance of the game when he skipped through two of them in the box. Well, for me, how they ended...
Cliffhanger Kenny. Cliffhanger Kenny's back. Wow. The thing is, as well, is I feel like it'll jump back in a second.
The game.
You're back. Oh no! Now he's come back. Now you're back.
Yeah, it's 10 Hag's done that to me, because I've criticised it. No, it's sad, really. It's sad that we're so deflated. We're deflating towards the end of the season. And I've just watched the fan view. I've just watched the live, the live watch along,
the match view, yeah.
Flex and KG, me and them, they're all like, oh no, it's the end of the world. And, what I mean? But tell me where the shining light's coming from. What gives you confidence that we're going to get top four? What gives you confidence?
The only thing that I can hold on to, Kenny, is that we are good at home. And we have only one away game left, and the rest are home games. And if we win all of our home games, we fall over the line. That is the only thing we've got going for us. We've got Wolves next at home, which, look, they beat Aston Villa at the weekend, which is no mean feat. That's a good win.
Exactly.
But they're safe. No. They're safe. And you can argue that, they might take their foot off the gas a little bit. They're safe. They've achieved what they went to do. And again, we're at home. We should win that game. Should. You never know. Then we've got Bournemouth away, which... the way things are going, Kenny, I'm not sure about that one. But Chelsea just beat Bournemouth away from home, so they're safe as well. But at the same time, us away from home, I don't know. Let's say hypothetically we lose that one, write that one off. Then we've got Chelsea at home, which it's difficult to say, isn't it? Because Chelsea have been Chelsea this season.
Chelsea.
They're still Chelsea. They still got players, haven't they? They still got players, and that's the game in hand. That's the game in hand. That's would. Hypothetically, that's the one that hopefully would get us back ahead of Liverpool, because we might be behind them by that point. We might be behind Liverpool by that stage, and then Fulham last day of the season. It looks like it might go to the last day. That's the only thing I can hang on to, because away from home, I'm not sure I see us picking up any more points. Liverpool, I see them winning every game between now and the end of the season. Thought the only game they were going to slip up was against Brentford yesterday, and they nearly did, but. They did what we couldn't do, which is get the job done. They got over the line. And, I said we're going to have this De Gea conversation, which we will in just a second. Just a couple of super chats first. Amanor says, Owen, apart from Lindy, Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka, everyone was poor. El Cap says, Qatar to bring whips with them for these players, and says, Workhorse should be a mascot, not a footballer. Get your super chats in and we'll read them out. Let's talk about De Gea, Kenny, because in the space of what? I saw them on the match view talk about where this sort of United collapse, if you will, started, and they were talking about second half of Sevilla at home is where it kind of felt like it's the wheels start to fall off a little bit. And in that period of time, we've seen David De Gea do a couple of really poor performances and a couple of really big mistakes. Today, I hold my hands up. I've sort of backed De Gea and praised De Gea. I don't know what to say after today, because there is no excuse for that. And that's cost us the game. People might look back at this at the end of the season and say it could have cost us top four. I suppose the real question is, when is enough when it comes to him? This is the same guy that reportedly possibly turned down 200K a week to still be the highest paid goalkeeper in the Premier League.
It was terrible.
Exactly. That's it, isn't it? It's terrible.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me? You still hear me? I think you're a bit behind, Kenny. You might have to come. You might have to come back out.
And I watched Ray yesterday. For Brent. And Brent, and he's got the highest completion rate for Brentford in the opposition half. Do you know what I mean? So, and he's a Spanish goalkeeper. So that's. I just don't know where we're going with De Gea. When we're talking about paying this guy £300,000 a week or giving him a pay cut to £200,000, what justifies £200,000 a week of what we've seen? Do you know what I mean? And up to today, he had the most clean sheets in the Premier League, but it seems irrelevant. Once he makes that mistake, all that is gone. You're as good as your last game. Sorry, you're as good as your
Mm.
last game, and sadly, that's your last game. That was not good. There was a couple of times right at the end of the game, he came for a cross and fluffed it, and was very, very lucky. You know, Declan Rice didn't score. He was lucky with the Antonio one. So I just don't know. I just don't know with the hair. And I don't. What's Ten Hag thinking? You know, what's Ten Hag thinking? I don't know.
Yeah.
He comes out and he praises him. I accept that. Every manager always praises him or whatever. But when they're in press conferences and you know there's contracts being spoke about, he obviously has faith in the fella. He obviously has faith in him. But I don't know. It's disappointing. But we should have been able to accommodate a mistake by our goalkeeper today because it was West Ham.
Yeah, that is true, and I think that's kind of the sort of fine line, isn't it? Because I mean, when you say that, people will say, it's giving him an excuse for making a mistake. But I do agree with your point there when it comes to what it was a bit like against Brighton in that we are asking our defense to essentially be perfect. You know, almost like because if we concede a goal, that's it because we're not going to score, we're not going to come back. But at the same time, the issue with De Gea is, I think someone put it in the chat just then that he's kind of running out of credit. Here we go. Starlord says, Dave Saves has run out of credit with me.
Yeah.
And and it does feel like that.
Absolutely.
A little bit, like, you know, making great saves.
Look at the Brighton
mistakes.
Game, right? No, look at the Brighton game. Shaw made a howler, put his hand up. Nobody went in on Shaw. Because he'd had a superb game and he's had a good season and he's not in his regular position. So as a fan base, we didn't go in on Shaw. We just said it was unlucky, blah, blah, blah. What about De Gea? That was the first time with Shaw. And Shaw's recovered and been played well today. So he knows it. We all know that was a one-off. What we're saying now with De Gea, there is a consistent pattern coming. That when we are under pressure, he's not doing that when we're 2 and 3-0 up. He's doing that when we need him to make the save. We need him to make the save. So there's something happening in his cycle or whatever. But it was just horrendous. It was. I've seen pub teams goalkeepers make them mistakes. It didn't even hit the ball properly.
No,
the ball was wobbling along the ground.
That's what I mean. I can't understand. Even as someone that's played in goal, I cannot understand what he's done there. It's almost like you said, because the player miskicked it, he just sort of fell to the ground. He just fell to the ground in slow motion. Everything happened in slow motion. He just went in slow motion. He goes down. He gets a hand to it, so he does touch it, and he still manages not to tip it around the post, even though it's moving at a snail's pace. And it's just. Again, you say to yourself, in the midst of all of this stuff going on, because it's a headache. It's a headache for the manager at the moment. He's thinking, right, I'm in contract negotiations. This guy, even if he's going to take a pay cut, is still going to be the highest paid goalkeeper, rather, in the Premier League. He can't do some of the things that I want him to do. And I accept that. I accept that he can't do some of the things that I want him to do. But, you know, he makes up for it by making big saves and shot stopping. But we rave about his shot stopping, but if he's going to make mistakes like that, you know, I think I said this after the Sevilla game. I felt like after that Sevilla game, he lost a load of leverage, and I feel like today he might have lost what leverage he had left. And you know, maybe Ten Hag does think to himself now. Maybe it is enough when it comes to him. Maybe he does think, actually, you know what? I've decided that we need to find another goalkeeper. Maybe his saving grace might just be that we don't have the money for it.
I have to agree. Yeah, what we're doing as a fan base, we're forgiving him. We're other teams that they're unforgivable mistakes. Fabian Bell.
Kenny's the Wi-Fi is moving very De Gea-ish today. Very De Gea-ish. It's Kenny's internet has the strength of a De Gea cross claim or a De Gea save. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I felt it was coming. I did feel it was coming. I prepared though. That's why I made this. See, if you prepare, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Yeah, that's what's happened. Um, so there you go. I do have a super chat here from El Cap says, May 7th, 2022, I got married and we lost 4-0 to Brighton. May 7th, 2023, my anniversary, and we lose to West Ham. I hate these guys so much. Wow, United is really putting a stick in your in your anniversary celebrations. But happy anniversary, by the way, as well, El Caps. Nathan says, I'll be honest, guys, I'm done. Besides Leacher, Varane, and Casa, the rest of these guys can F off. Actually, I can get up on the screen for you right there. I'll be honest, guys, I'm done. Besides Leacher, Varane, and Casa, the rest of these guys can F off. Every game since Varane and Leacher got injured has been a disgrace. I'm done until they prove me otherwise. Although, to be honest, though, you say that, Nathan. Now, I look at Brighton, and I look at today's game, and obviously you can talk about the defensive errors and obviously David De Gea's mistakes as well. But it's kind of a two-pronged issue. It's not only is obviously the De Gea mistake, the Luke Shaw handball, but part of the issue as well is that we've lost 2 away games 1-0. And the problem is that the moment we concede a goal, it's a resignation that we're not going to come back, because we can't come back, because we can't score. we can't score any goals. Kenny, you're back.
Sorry about that, young man. Sorry about that.
Ten Hag is hacking the Wi-Fi.
Ten Hag's hacking it, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
David De Gea is moving very De Gea-ish.
Exactly, I know. No, it's at what stage do we cut the ties with De Gea? We had this with Fabian Barthez. Fabian Barthez was a fantastic goalkeeper. All right, he wasn't with the club a long time, but he come up with some real howlers in big games.
Yeah.
And what confidence as a fan base now do we have in De Gea? Apart from the shop stopping, even right at the beginning of the game, when they was passing back, they were trying to play out from the back. I thought, this is not started well for him. Well for him. We wasn't clearing as we saw it. He put one over to Wan-Bissaka. They got Wan-Bissaka in trouble. So no, yeah, and we all love De Gea, but I don't know. Is it time? Is it time? If we're having a clear out and are we drawing a line under it and saying, right, Martial, yeah, Donny van der Beek, we've loved you. Vegas, we've loved you. De Gea, however, we are a long, long way off where we want to be. And I even thought today, and I really did think today, and I've watched it, I'm watching all the fan channels or whatever, we've become the old Arsenal. As a fan base, we are accepting 4th place as an achievement. We have become Arsenal with fan base wise. We're Manchester United. We should be pushing. We should now be in contention for the championship, for the league title, because we're Man United. And it's all right saying when you can't live off your previous history.
Did they, Kenny? They always got a divine right. No one's got a divine right though, just to be competing for it, just because of who we are. We've got to earn it.
But what we shouldn't be doing is accepting 4th place as being good. We shouldn't see 4th place as an achievement, because if you accept 4th place as an achievement, when will you ever win the title? You won't. I accept that we have to get Champions League. We have to get Champions League because when you see the financial stats, it's worth between 30 and 100 million pounds. Now, I would have thought that if I was a player on a contract at Man United, there will be something in my contract that says that you get your bonuses related on Champions League qualification. Yeah. So if you want to, and I know that finance, all the management gurus in the world will tell you that finance isn't a motivator. But if somebody's offering you £2 million to put some extra effort in to get over the line for the Champions League, you're going to put that effort in or whatever. Your pride should be taking you over anyway. Liverpool a month ago had a real issue because they must have been looking at next year and thinking, we know we've got to sign 3 new midfielders. We've got issues with Henderson. We've got issues with Milner. These people, they're aging. Salah will probably go because we need the money for him to rebuild or whatever. And they'd have looked at the fans and said, we're way off Champions League. We're losing 50 to 100 million. Where do we attract that player? Bellingham's already told them he's not interested or whatever. Now that could have been sorted 6 weeks ago when they were 9th and 10th. No one near the Champions League. All of a sudden, all of a sudden the Johnsons and Klopp now they're thinking, if we can get Champions League, we know that we can get player X, player Y, because his agents told us. But they're not coming because we don't get Champions League. Why did Casemiro come?
You're back.
Yeah, that's Casemiro this time. Casemiro sent one in. No, but why has Casemiro come? Because of that. That's why Casemiro's come. Because of the money what Manchester United do. You know, it's been reported today. Aaron Maguire was on £45,000 a week at Leicester. We're paying him £200,000. That's why they're coming to Man United, lad. It doesn't seem to me as though they're coming because they want to win trophies and this, and they want to win the titles. And it hurts in a way. It hurts in a way because that's what we were brought up on. We were brought up on that. Do you know, and that was before. That's the history of the club.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
well, even during some more barren years, during let's say the 70s and 80s, where United sort of legacy was winning an FA Cup here and there, and you know, they were still competing, and they were still, you know, they were still near maybe the upper end of the table. You know what I mean? They were still in the conversation every season, but you know,
they
were.
We always fell away, and Liverpool were that good. They just fell away.
Exactly.
Liverpool was today's Manchester City. If Liverpool were in the top two at Christmas, the league was over with, done. And when Ferguson was with us, if we were in the top two, 9 times the league was done, right? But we're slowly but surely we're becoming the new Arsenal, where top 4 is acceptable to fans. And don't get me wrong, I will be over the moon if we get top 4. I will be buzzing if we get top 4. Do you know?
But I was buzzing for a point today if we could get it. You know what I mean?
But I do. Ten Hag has to look at himself. He has to look at himself, and you know, I do. I'll go back to Sancho. We've all said, "Oh, well, Sancho's not 80 million. He's not this or whatever." I've watched Jadon Sancho the last month, right? And Jadon Sancho has been as good and as creative as any player on that field, and he's put a shift in, right? And with Dalot on that left-hand side, and with Eriksen, they're creative. They're creative, and if Dalot makes a mistake. If Sancho makes a mistake, he puts a shift in and goes back, right? Rashford is Rashford of last year now. Forget the 20-odd goals or whatever. He's scoring wonder goals because he's looking up and there's nobody in the box. There's no midfielder running in. Now, if you normally have Bruno in the middle, Bruno will run in. Bruno's now on the left-hand side today. I just could not understand that. I never understood him going on the right-hand side, but I'm thinking, well, it's predominantly the right footed and this, that, and the other. They put him on the left-hand side and put Vegas there when he got Sancho on the bench. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I don't get it.
I saw a stat during the game after De Gea made that mistake, and it said that David De Gea has the most mistakes leading to goals in all competitions this season. And I just think at this point, and like I said, I've backed him all through the season because I do think some of the criticism has been too far and too over the line, and I do think it's important to try and remain
balance it. You've got to balance it,
and you do have to balance it exactly as much as you possibly can anyway. And but I think balance is arguably maybe the perfect word to use there because maybe it's sort of tipped at this point now. It's tipped the balance, you know, because we know his deficiencies. We know his deficiencies when it comes to his feet, but there's
a famous saying: there are damn lies in the statistics, right? I can show you statistics that show that when Varane plays, right, he as against Maguire. Maguire has a higher win rate than Varane at Manchester United this season, right? But what the statistics don't tell you, right, is that when Maguire's playing, he's playing in the League Cup against Reading or whatever. So the statistics looks good, and that's what I'm saying about the lies, damn lies. You can make statistics look however you want. You see as a football fan with your own eyes. You see it with the football fan with your own eyes. You know, there's been games this season where he has pulled off some fantastic saves, incredible saves, right, and saved us. But there have been games that have been absolutely key to our season, like today, where he's had howlers, right? And I'll say it again. We should be able to take a bad goal against West Ham because we should be scoring 3 and 4 goals.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem. When he makes a mistake, right, it costs us big time. If Shaw made a mistake the other day, but Shaw it's probably the only mistake he's made in 5 years. We're giving penalties away.
And even that, I thought he was unlucky because he gets a shove as well. And, I thought he was unlucky.
Exactly. And today, Lindelof could have quite easily given a penalty. Because I looked at that and I thought, he's moved his elbow. He's moved his arm out to stop it.
Yeah.
He had it close to his body. So they're obviously in training, that's what they're doing. Well, if it's close to your body, it's not unnatural movement and this. So, no, where's the points coming from? We've got to ask ourselves. I think, do you know what I think might go in our favour? I think Liverpool may slip up somewhere. I think
so?
Liverpool.
I mean, that game.
Yeah, because they're not dominating, lad. They're not dominating. They weren't dominating against Brentford just today.
I thought they were fortunate to get out of that game with the 3 points. Brentford were unlucky, but the only game. So Liverpool, the games they got less. They've got Leicester away, and you think Leicester away. I still think they'll drop. I think they'll win that game. Leicester. But Villa comes to Anfield, like maybe, possibly that one.
Villa played well against us at Old Trafford. Villa played well against us at Old Trafford. Leicester, what we do not want Leicester to go down before they play Liverpool. That's what you don't want. You want them to have to get a point or something from that game.
Yeah.
Because if they're relegated before they play Liverpool will put 5 past them. But Leicester are no pushover. They're no pushover, Leicester.
No, but even the fact that we have to have this conversation of going, well, Liverpool going to drop points or whatever.
Shouldn't be having it.
I know exactly. We shouldn't be having it. And I know that Robbie over at AFTV's got people taking the mick out of him this season because he said it's in our hands when it comes to Arsenal and the title charge and what have you. But it is, again, and this was something I was saying coming into this game, it is still true for us in this essence that we are still in control of this, just about in control of this. But if I said to you, what is the likelihood, do you think, of us winning all of our home games? So Wolves, Chelsea, Fulham,
I think,
and getting nothing. Is that realistic?
I think we're going to get 7 points. I think we're going to get 7 points.
So we're going to be short of the 9 that we need.
Yeah, I think we're going to get 7. I think we'll get 2 wins and a draw. Don't think for 1 minute that Chelsea are going to come and roll over. It's Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea Football Club and Manchester United. That game's in the ballot. You have to get a ticket in the ballot. There's a reason for that, because it's a big game. It's a big game. And, that's massive. That's massive for Chelsea. The fans who can't wait for that. The Chelsea fans have had nothing to shout about all season. They'll shout from the rooftops if they come to Old Trafford and stop us getting top 4. Yeah. Because then we won't have had any better season than what Chelsea have had in 16th place or whatever. We might as well have been 16th. But no, I'm going to say 7 points. I think we'll end up with 7 points. I do.
And then what out
of
that Bournemouth away game?
I think Liverpool will drop. I think Liverpool will drop something. I do. I know they're capable of going on a run to the end of the season. I know that they've done it before. They did it last season. They did it, the season before or whatever. But I think in this instance, they're going to drop a daft point, and I think it could be against Leicester. We do not want Leicester to be relegated before they go. We want Leicester needing a point to stay up or whatever. That's what we need. Because that will make it a massive game.
And what's interesting too, I suppose, is look, we've got one more away game this season in the Premier League. That's Bournemouth away. Are we going to win a game away from home this season again, Kenny? Or are we going to have to wait until next season to win an away game?
Would you like some more damn lies and statistics? You know what I mean?
Yes, I would.
There's lots of them in there. There's lots of them. If you want them, we've got a fantastic record. The statistics show that teams in the bottom half, we consistently beat them away from home. Forget we've played today, right? The top 9, the top 10, all right, we can't even get a draw. We're lucky if we get a draw, let alone beat them. So we're playing against a team in the bottom half that we normally win. So that's a good statistic for us, right? I am hoping that he's got to make some rash decisions now with regards to his selection. Young Garnacho, we know he's fit. right? I'd normally say don't start Garnacho because he's normally up in that first half. He's up against 2 banks of 4. It's not how he doesn't play little triangle. It runs. He's an impact player, right? But you've got to put Sancho in there. You've got to have Eriksen in because he's creative. You have to have all your creative players on. Another statistic, right? We have only scored our forwards have not scored 20 goals between them, apart from Marcus Rashford. How bad is that?
Yeah. No,
It's a start,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So we'll have that one. We'll use that one, right? So what's he got to do? What he's got to do is put his best players in. So Jadon Sancho is a better player than Weghorst, without a doubt, right? He plays. Martial, a better player. So you've got to start off with those people that can get you a goal. Because what was obvious today, right? We had no creativity and we had no shots on target earlier, right? Until the last virtually. So you have to have players on the field, first of all, that are capable of winning you the game. If you're not going out to win the game, that tells you that you're going for a draw. You're setting up for a draw. You're setting up not to lose. Which is not good. It's not good. So we are looking to win that game today in the last 20 minutes. If that had been nil apiece, it would have probably still made them substitutions. Because, let's not lose or whatever. When he does lose, right, he's been brave in the past, right? Most fans would have took Weghorst off after half an hour. Once they scored, you'd have made them changes. You'd have probably said, right, let's get Martial on to start with. Right, Vout, get off. Bruno, get back in the middle. Rashford, you're on the left. Oh, Martial, boom, that's what we're doing. That's what he should have done. So I'm putting the blame today, not on David De Gea, I am blaming him for that, but the actual defeat, you have to put it at Ten Hag's door. He had the players on the bench. He had goal scorers. Young Garnacho, goal scorer.
Well, I was surprised to not see him come on. I thought if you're good
Why
enough
have
from
him
the
there?
bench or fit enough, yeah, exactly.
Why have
Exactly.
him
If the argument is he's not ready, then he shouldn't be in the squad, should he? He shouldn't have been in the squad.
Exactly.
And he is someone that even if it's for 10 minutes, I mean, put it this way, and I always hate to be that United fan that goes, well, Sir Alex would have done this. But if Sir Alex was managing Man United today, 10 minutes to go, he'd have been like, put him on, see what happens.
Put them all on.
Yeah. Every striker. Any tackle on the bench.
It'd have took the hair off and got all the forwards on.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and we know as fans, we know what's missing. We know we're a long way off. We think we're 3 and 4 players off. We're not. We're 6 and 7 players off where we need to be, right? But by qualifying for the Champions League, it gives momentum to the club, to the marketeers. It just gives you momentum. The sponsors, etc., etc. And that's what you need. That's what you need. And we've seen it. We've seen it with Arsenal. Arsenal was in the doldrums for 10 years because they had to plough all their money into a new stadium. Arsene Wenger did an amazing job at the end of his career. An amazing job. He had no money to spend for 10 years because of... So, we're getting to the realms now where top 4, just get top 4, just get top 4, just get top 4. And I get it. But I want to see us challenging. I want to see us challenging for the title. We're a long, long way off.
And to get into that point, though, first, because sometimes it has to be step by step, we've got to get top 4 first. I mean, you talk about players that we need in the summer. We talk about the need for a striker, Kane, Osimhen. If we don't get top 4, they're off the table anyway. I mean, forget prices or anything like that. They won't go to a team that's not in the Champions League. Osimhen certainly wouldn't. Harry Kane, he might just decide, actually, you know what? United aren't in the Champions League. I'll stick it out at Spurs for another season. And then my contract will wind down. And then I can go anywhere I want to. And,
exactly.
And
Champions League means money. Champions League means money. It means money for the contracts, money for the players, bonuses. That's what they're looking at. Right? It's the profile. It's the social media profile. It's their agents, selling their sponsorships. Always in the Champions League is this or whatever. So that's a massive thing. Casemiro came here, right? Because he's already won 4 or 5 Champions Leagues. He's already earned his coin. He's now coming for a big payoff at the end. Don't get me wrong, I love him. I think he's fantastic. I love watching him. I think he's a Rolls Royce of a player, but he's dropped off. He has definitely dropped off in this last month. Definitely dropped off. And it's how you get him back, get Eriksen playing. All your creative players have to be on the pitch. They have to be on the pitch. That means going 3 at the back and playing a back 3 or whatever. Get your creative players on the pitch and give yourself a chance to win the game. Because if today, we'd be having a different conversation. If today we'd have hit the post 5 times, had 4 cleared off the line, or we'd have said, God, we've been unlucky today, haven't we? We had all them chances. We're not. We're realistic and we're honest about what we've seen with our own eyes. We've seen Anthony shooting 2 and 3 attempts. Bruno, Rashford, no one near, right? One of them ended up on the new king's throne. It was that far over the bar. No, it was... Just to see where I'm coming from. We're not here. We're not sitting here bemoaning the fact that we've been unlucky. Oh, no. We've had nothing cleared off the line. We've had no headers against. We've had nothing. And people might say, well, I think I picked up on what Mina said. Mina says we created 10 chances in the first time. We didn't create 10 chances. We had 10 speculative opportunities. But that's all they are. That's all they are. The world is not good enough.
Do you think? And I've seen people talking about maybe fatigue and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we have been playing every 3 or 4 days since the World Cup, essentially. And this coming week is the first time, I think, since the World Cup that we've actually got a full week without a game midweek. It maybe it's come at the right time because Ten Hag now can, like you said, over the course of the next, I think it's 6 days, we're playing on Saturday, really make some big decisions and say, actually, you know what? I've got to figure something out. I mean, I'll go back to when we lost against Brentford at the start of the season. That was on a Saturday evening. And then I think we played Liverpool on the Monday. And he had this stretch of time to figure things out and, run the players and what have you. Maybe that's what he needs to do again. Not necessarily run the players, but have this stretch of time to say, okay, next 6 days, it's full focus on something has to change here.
Or whatever. No, I agree. Why is the law not played today? And I keep going back to it. I've watched them. I've seen them with my own eyes at Old Trafford. They're good footballers. They're playing triangles. They're creating. They're moving together. They're progressing the ball up the field. We've not seen it. We've not seen it against Brighton. We haven't seen it today against West Ham. I don't want to be sat here on the last game of the season saying to you, well, what a letdown. What a letdown. Now, if we fail on the last game of the season and we play Fulham, we play Wolves, play Chelsea, and we should have had 3 penalties, and we've had things cleared off the line, we've had goals disallowed, what was this, that, and the other. I'll take it. That's football. What I won't take is your best players, your best creative players, sat on the bench, right? And no disrespect to Wout Weghorst, right? The lad puts a shift in. That's all he does. He puts a shift in. But you've £80 million Jadon Sancho sat there. And it's not that he's been playing bad. He scored 2 weeks ago. He's doing assists. He's playing well. Twice he's substituted the lad at 60, 70 minutes. Why? When he's playing well? I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. But I would rather go out. And Ferguson used to do it. I would rather go out going all out attack, not necessarily all out attack, you know where I'm coming from, but having a creative team there, right, and you're giving yourself a chance to score goals, not putting Weghorst up to defend set pieces, because that's what he was there for. Because you take Weghorst out of that front 3, once you put Weghorst in that front 3, your creativity level drops by 50-60% minimum. It drops completely, right? It could have only been on that pitch today to deal with Antonio when they had set pieces, because they are good on set pieces, West Ham. That could have been the only reason. But if that would have been me, I would have put Maguire in, right? Shuffled the back 4 around and had Bruno there. Bruno there and Sancho there on Mercy Allen. Not put Weghorst on at number 10 to have him defend set pieces in your own half. That's not how you win football games. That is not how you win football games.
Well, what team then? What team would you pick then for Wolves next weekend in terms of the changes? In terms of what team would you pick?
Right, Wolves next weekend. Right, Alex Stepney in goal.
Yeah.
Eric Cantona, George Best. Charlton's on bench though. I'm only putting Bobby Charlton on the bench. Dennis Law's no chance. Yeah. No, I would have. Right, De Gea, Wan-Bissaka it would be Lindelof, Shaw, Delors. It would be Casemiro, Eriksen. All right. Bruno in the middle, Anthony on the right. I would go Sancho on the left, Rashford up front, Martial first to come on. The changes at 60 minutes, which he always does anyway, would be Garnacho and Martial to come on. That would be my changes. That's as creative as he's going to get. Because I've seen. Go on.
Is the problem?
Well,
no, I agree. That's probably the team I would go with. But my point was going to be is the problem that you say that's the most creative our team can be, and I agree with you. But the problem is that team still doesn't guarantee that we're going to score goals, because we've seen that specific lineup in the last few weeks, and we've still seen them spur chance after chance after chance to the point whereby we've ended in this situation.
You have a chance of creating goals, though, haven't you? You have a chance of creating. That's the point I'm making. Are you with me? We know, right? With the 16th worst chance creator, another stat for you, 16th chance creator in the Premier League. Wow. That means we're just above the bottom for creating chances. Look at our goals. Our goal ratio is awful. Absolutely awful. We're not, there's another thing, but we're not brought. We could end up not getting to Europe because of our goal difference against Liverpool's. Liverpool's got plus 25. So that could be another factor. What we have to do, you have to put your attacking, creative players on the pitch at Old Trafford. Don't forget, we're at Old Trafford, right? That crowd will not want to see Wout Weghorst. They will not want to see Wout Weghorst at Old Trafford.
I was surprised to see him today, to be honest. As soon as that lineup came out and I saw Weghorst, I went...
But you know why? You know why? Because he was concerned about their set pieces. That's why he was concerned about their set pieces, because with no heart at the back. With no Varane, with no Maguire. So with no heart. Because they're a rough handful. But we know as well, Weghorst doesn't win many headers one-on-one. We know that as well. We know that as well. So that's, for me, is why. But if you know, it was easy to predict what was going to happen with West Ham, because they're so predictable. 4-4-2. Keep it tight for 60 minutes and then we'll nick a goal. So why have we not gone at them? Why have we not gone at him? And if you wanted to bring Weghorst on, bring him on in the second half when you knew they were going to start attacking. They attacked for the first 5, 6, 7 minutes or whatever. First 18 minutes, we had 6 attempts on goal. 6 attempts on goal. Right? Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. Just not good enough.
I've covered quite a few of Ten Hag's. It is infuriating. And tell you what was also infuriating is I've covered quite a few of Ten Hag's press conferences this season, and it's becoming almost a bit of a bugbear of mine. Not so much for him, more so of the team, is that several times this season, and he'll be asked it again when he does his press conference next Friday about, Eric, how'd you bounce back from this? A really bad defeat. How'd you bounce back from it? And he goes,
it's process.
Well, he goes, we'll have to bounce back. We've done it this season several times. And he's not wrong. But as I've said quite a few times this season, I go, and he must be frustrated by this, going, how many times do I have to come out in these press conferences and say that we're going to bounce back and this team's going to come back and the next game will make it right, whereby he's even said it. Why can't we make it right during the game? Why do we have to wait until next week to bounce back? Any good team,
could have made them. He could have made them changes. Changes we have spoke about. He could have took Weghorst off as soon as they scored. They could have easily done it. We've seen other managers do it. I've seen Mourinho do it. Right? I've seen Alex Ferguson do it. See that it's not working and make the changes. That's what big managers do. I've seen Pep Guardiola, Chelsea, City against Chelsea the week before we played them. Right? Foden on the left, Mary's on the right. Wasn't working at half time. Brought Grealish on and Silva on. Half time, done. They win the game. Boom. That's what you do. That's what you do. But is he thinking to himself, oh, well, it looks bad if I bring Weghorst on there. If I take him off after 20 minutes, it looks bad on me. I don't know.
It's because, again, I feel like if Alisson makes that mistake, not that he probably would, but he doesn't have a mistake in him. If Ederson makes that mistake, I don't think City or Liverpool or even Arsenal, I don't think their team goes, oh, we've lost. I can't believe we've lost. They go, that's all right. We'll go at the other end.
Exactly.
We'll score. We'll get another one. No problem.
Alisson made mistakes yesterday. right? Edison made mistakes with his distribution at the back. Alisson nearly got caught out, right? But it didn't matter. It wasn't an issue. It was not a problem. All right, no, they scored from it or whatever. But I have seen goals created where they've scored against them and it's been their fault. It's not mattered because Salah's gone up the end and scored 2.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Well, even a few weeks ago, Ramsdale against Southampton, he made a mistake in the first few minutes. Granted, Arsenal didn't win that game, but Arsenal knew, we'll score 3 goals. We'll get the goals back.
Arsenal were excellent today.
Yeah,
Odegaard was superb.
Yeah.
Ramsdale
was actually, I think that there was a biggest difference with Arsenal's performance today at St. James's Park and you saw it in the beginning of the first half and second half, is that Newcastle went at them. They started really fast, hit the post a couple of times, came close, and
2 minutes. Exactly.
Yeah, and Arsenal went, we'll ride it out, we'll settle the game down,
and they were excellent.
Yeah, and we'll grind it out.
Second half, the distribution, the progression going forward, the link-up play was superb. It was excellent. No, hats off to Arsenal. Hats off to Arsenal.
And that's the difference, isn't it? Is they've got that character, that bounce back ability.
Got it in one.
Yeah, we'll ride it out.
Both them teams were in the Champions League final. That to me was the intensity of that game. That was a World Cup final. That was the biggest game of the season. This was so important. Well, sorry, Manchester United footballers, that today was a massive game for you, and you didn't turn up. And the manager didn't turn up. I'm really sorry, but big decisions need to be made about that team selection. And if it's not working, you've got to change it. Because what these set of players are showing, they cannot change it themselves on the pitch. Once their heads go, collectively it goes. You have got to make the changes for them. And if it means that you've got to bring certain individuals off to try to inject a little bit of pace, a little bit of know-how, a little bit of expertise, then you've got to do it. And you've got to do it quickly. It's not the hardest thing in the world to analyse. What me and you were talking about tonight now, right? 500,000 Manchester United supporters are saying exactly the same thing. There's nobody going to be sat on fan views writing the paper tomorrow was, what a shame for Weghorst. Didn't he play well? What a shame for David De Gea slipped out. No, fans are honest. They say what they see with their own eyes. And they understand as well what changes need to be made to win football matches. And you cannot win football matches by shooting from 5 yards outside the box every time your forwards get the ball. You might get 1 goal in 30 shots. You have to create more. And you have to understand that the likes of Bruno, the likes of Casemiro or whatever, when Sancho's on the left and Antony's on the right, you've got to be going in. You've got to be following that ball in. You have got to be following that ball in. You have got to give yourself a chance. And you have to play that high line so if it comes back out, then your central defenders are there. All right? But what you're doing is you are keeping that ball in their half and you are creating. What you've not to do is give up basically before you've started. Once we had Weghorst on that pitch, Weghorst was there for one thing, was to defend set pieces. Because what's his creative passing range? His rate, his stats. He doesn't have any. He has run-around stats. He has very good run-around stats. Well, give me 50 grand a week. I'll run around for you. And I'll go and press somebody. But it's true, isn't it?
No, I agree. I agree. We've got a couple of member chats here. Game Fanatic's been a member for 8 months. Says, Owen, mate, can we talk about how ridiculously selfish our wingers are in some games, especially in games where we're being frustrated? We'll get to that in just a second. And Sandip says, if I say what I want to say, I'll be in jail tomorrow. This keeper is really testing my patience. Sandip's been a member for 8 months too. Yeah, just as we wrap it up, then Kenny, one of the chats there was about the wingers, and we talked about Rashford, and you talk about substitutions, and we have been saying this quite a lot this season. In certain games, why don't you bring on Palestri? Why don't you bring on Garnacho? Something different that offers anything a little bit different. That can't be the worst thing in the world.
Anything. And what you've got, I think, what it's got to do now. We know that the creative element of our game is coming from Antony and it's coming from Sancho or Rashford on the left. That's where we're creating. We don't do tippy-tappy around the box. We don't do it, right? We're cutting in or whatever. You've got Palestre, you've got Garnacho. If Rashford and Sancho or Rashford and Anthony are not working, at half-time, bring them kids on. Because you've nothing to lose. You've nothing to lose, right? And that's the way he's got to do it. Because what we can't do, if we think that we can nick a goal against Wolves or nick a goal against Fulham or nick a goal against Chelsea and get away with it, we will not get away with it. We will not get away with it. Because even though they've nothing to play for, they'll be up for that game. The reason they'll be up for that game is because they're fighting for their contracts and the whole world is watching. The whole world is waiting for Man United to fail. The whole world is waiting, right, for us to fail, to laugh at us. That's what they're waiting for. So them players will be well up for it. You don't need to worry. And Chelsea especially. That is Chelsea's cup final. They come to Old Trafford because they've had nothing but abuse. They've had nothing but stay. They beat Man United. Right, they beat Man United at Old Trafford, stop us getting Champions League, right? Frank Lampard, they build a statue outside that ground. They probably got one anyway. Do you know what I mean?
And the worst thing is as well, we as a fan base have bantered Chelsea all season for how terrible they've been and how awful they've been. If they've
had no worse season than us.
You know?
They've had no worse season than us. All right, I know we've won the Carabao Cup, and that was great. That was great. And we'll not talk about City at Wembley. We'll not talk about City at Wembley. Do you know what I mean? Let's perk that buzz. Let's hope the 100 charges get brought in. You know, they go to court next week and whatever, but that won't happen now. But no. So we've a long, long way to go yet. A long way to go. And we should not have been having this conversation tonight. We should not have, as Manchester United fans, we should not have been having this conversation. That was West Ham. West Ham don't beat Man United. They don't beat Man United.
Our records,
but if you're not hungry,
very, very good.
If your players are not hungry and you get your selection wrong, you're getting beat. Because David Moyes sets teams up not to lose. That's what he does. They've lost the last three.
Yeah.
They've lost the last three, but he sets teams up not to lose. That's how he does it. That's why he lost his job at Man United.
Yeah.
Because everybody was bored out their head, thinking, what the hell's going on here?
Exactly.
That's how it is. It was the same at Everton. It'll be the same at West Ham, but it'll keep him in the division and it'll always be in the job. But for us today, I think that was a big lesson for Ten Hag. That got to have been a big lesson for him.
And he's now got a decision to make. Look, I've got 4 games left of the season or what have you, and I can't keep doing what I'm doing because what I'm doing won't get us over the line, essentially. You know, and that's the big decision that he's got to make. Quick super chat, and then we'll wrap things up. Game Fanatic says Anthony and Rashford do not create except for themselves. Any striker playing with them gets ignored or used as a decoy run 90% of the time. I agree. I do agree. But Game Fanatic,
totally 100% agree. 100% agree, and that's the problem.
Yeah, agreed. But there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. What's on tap for the remainder of the week? Tomorrow, we've got the morning show, as always. We've got all of the build-up to next weekend. And then hopefully, Kenny, when we're back here Saturday afternoon, whenever it is, we can be more positive and say,
I'll be at Old Trafford.
Oh, you'll be at Old Trafford. Well, hopefully you can be talking to Flex.
I'll be screaming at him. I'll be screaming at him.
Eric Ten Hag will be on the touchline.
I'll run on the pitch and tell him. I say, get him off. Yeah. Get him off. Get some attackers on.
There you go. Anyway, guys, have a good Sunday, and we'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.